This is Radar for On the Radar Entertainment Blog coming at you with another edition of Movie Reviews and Observation number 6. So, as I've stated before, I went through all the Skokie Public Library movies, all the Displays Public Library movies, and I'm on to Hoopla, Canopy, and Netflix. So, the first movie I watched was this really creepy looking movie called Nightmare Cinema, where it's a bunch of different horror stories that all happen when you walk into a movie theater, and Mickey Rourke is the guy in the movie theater, actually the one showing you all the movies and stuff. What like horror stories that could happen to you, things like that. Some of them were interesting, some of them were not. So it wasn't that great of a movie. It was also pretty long for a horror film. Usually horror films are an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 20 minutes, maybe an hour 40, but this movie was an hour 50 something minutes, almost 2 hours. That is not the length of a horror film that I want to watch if it's not good. The next movie I watched was a movie called American Woman about a woman who herself was a teen mom. Then her daughter became a teen mom and her boyfriend was crap. Then she went missing one night and then she had to raise her grandson her whole life. And then she dated somebody who was horrible. Then she met somebody and they got married. And the point was, the movie was very slow. It was pretty boring. It wasn't that great overall. Despite people saying, oh, Sienna Miller, Christina Hendricks are all good actresses. And well, here's the thing. When I say Aaron Paul's in the movie, when you're a fan of him for Breaking Bad, Need for Speed, and other countless movies and other roles, you're like, when is Aaron Paul going to show up in this movie? I watched the movie for a good hour, maybe 45 minutes to 50-something minutes at minimum before he showed up. And then he wasn't in the movie that long, and then his character wasn't that great. So I'm a little disappointed that they say Aaron Paul's in this movie, and then he's not in it till this almost the second half of the movie, and then he's barely in it, and he doesn't play a redeeming role. So, American Woman, which, this is what it looks like. It has the people walking there in the field together because she never really gave up hope that they would find her daughter, what happened to her, because it kind of like they forgot about it. She moved on in life, had a boyfriend or two, had a husband, raised a grandkid like her own. While the weird thing is, it's just a coincidence that her sister and brother-in-law live right across the street, and the guy who played Curly in the Three Stooges remake, he was in the movie as the brother-in-law, and he supposedly didn't like all the people in her life, but really liked the Aaron Paul one, so he was at least interesting in that movie. Now, the next movie I watched was listed as a comedy, which really wasn't. It was a very sad movie with Aquafina, where her family's from like China, and her grandmother and her uncle and other relatives live there. She's like a failure, messed up, things like that. And she's trying to get into this program, blah, blah, blah. And supposedly in China, they don't tell like old people that they're terminally ill and they're going to die of cancer or whatever it is. But they pretend that her cousin, who's only been dating somebody who's from another country, blah, 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 that they're going to have a wedding as the farewell goodbye, so everybody can say goodbye to the person one last time, and making that look like they're only there to see her, they're there for the wedding. So it wasn't really that funny. It was more of a sad, sad, sad movie in the movie. And yeah, you won't recognize really anybody in the movie unless you're famous with Asian films. But this is what the thing looked like. It was all them, sitting there all together, taking photos for like the wedding and stuff. And it was a pretty good movie. It wasn't that long. It was only an hour and 30 something minutes. But don't go into the movie thinking it's going to be a comedy. Think of it as a drama, Because Aquafina's right. Like, why would you want to not tell her? Shouldn't she know? Yada, yada, yada. So pretty much, that was the best movie I watched this week. Because the movie I watched called Domino started off with some cops and detectives in a European country. Then his partner gets killed, yada, yada, yada. He has to look for it, but then they tell him don't. Then the CIA's involved, because then the guy that killed his partner is an asset of theirs. But then it's also them trying to take down ISIS terrorists. There's movies of ISIS terrorists blowing up people with bombs and filming it all. And it's all somehow connected to the CIA guy asset that killed his partner. He's looking into it, even though he's off the case, with a woman who supposedly was his partner, like lover on the side, like mistress, even though he was married to a woman for a very long time and he thought he knew his partner. The two of them both worked on the force with this partner who passed away, and they somehow butt heads with the CIA. They're on the hunt for the guy that killed his partner, but then it's also ISIS and all this other stuff. And it's like, go from a detective solving movie to a CIA operative movie to being a terrorist, global terrorism, and taking down ISIS. It was way too much, horribly written, horribly acted, and the only positive thing about the movie was it was an hour and 27 minutes, so you didn't waste that much time with your life watching the movie. And the final movie I watched was a 2 hour movie that was really long, boring. Supposedly, it's a semi-autobiographical account of the person in the movie that they talked about by Joanna Hugh, or whatever her name is, Hogg. Yeah, Joanna Hogg. And it looked like this. It was just really, really not that great of a movie because it was really hard to tell. It was confusing. It was all over the place. Tilda Swinton was in it. It didn't really make much sense because there's the character and what she's doing in real life. Then she's telling a story and then doing this. So I couldn't tell who was who, what is going on. I don't know. It was long, just a lot of boring drama. I don't get the Rotten Tomato review when the movie is long. It's a 2 hour movie. It's confusing. You don't know what's going on. You're lost. That you lose interest really quickly. So do not watch The Souvenir. That's a long, horrible movie. Domino was a short, horrible movie. The Farewell is not a comedy, but it's a really good movie. So it should be listed if you're looking for a good drama, and it's short. Do not watch American Woman because it's boring. It takes forever to figure out what's going on in the movie. They forget what the plot is some way through it, and Aaron Paul's in the second half, barely in it. And Nightmare Cinema was too long of a horror film that wasn't that good and weird and creepy. So thanks for listening to another edition of Movies, Observations, and Reviews and Observation, episode number 6 for On the Radar Entertainment Blog. See you guys next time.